Hey everybody, it's Chad from Sticks Blog. So it's been a while since I've done a gear review, at least on a new piece of gear. However, I just got this GooseFeet Gear down Anorak in the mail yesterday. Just so you know, today is Thanksgiving Day 2016. I'm really excited about this piece of gear, so I wanted to just kind of do a quick kind of a first look video and kind of talk about it. Before I get much into the actual Anorak itself though, I kind of want to tell you how and why I got to this piece of gear. First off, as many of you know, for backpacking in colder weather, layering is an important way to stay warm. Typically a lot of people, well, I'm not going to say that, I prefer to use several different layers to stay warm while I'm out hiking. One of the layers I like to use is a lightweight down, some people call it a sweater, jacket, whatever you want to call it, but it's a real lightweight down piece. Typically those pieces are going to weigh anywhere between about 5 to 7 or 8 ounces. Very minimal piece, not a lot to it, just something to kind of layer over you to stay warm. That's been the method that I've used since I started backpacking. I haven't been backpacking very long. 2009 is when I started, but that's the method that I've been using. And just kind of give you an idea of what I found that I like to wear. I did actually post a post back, I think in 2012, on some of the layers I use. But what I prefer to use while I'm hiking in colder weather, and what I mean by colder weather is temps that are going to get down to around freezing, and of course below. But generally I'll wear a Capilene 2. It's a long sleeve crew as a base layer. Next to that I've got this is a Patagonia Capilene 4. It's the extreme weight hoodie. You can see it's got a hood on it. After that, sometimes I'll wear a wind jacket over that, but then the next piece would be a down layer like this, and then of course over top of everything would be a rain jacket, a hard shell. But this is generally what I'll wear. That's generally what I like to layer whenever temperatures are colder. Because I layer so many different pieces, I don't require a super heavy puffy. In fact, I'm quite happy with the lighter weight pieces that actually have sewn through design baffles. I don't really feel like I need anything that's baffled and just truly a huge, loaded down puffy. So I've been happy with those pieces. Now to start off with, I started a couple of years ago. I picked up a Montbell ultralight down inner jacket. I loved it. The only thing I realized that I wasn't real fond about it was I kind of felt that I would want a hood on it, just to provide a little extra warmth. So I ended up swapping it out for the Montbell ultralight down inner parka. I wore that for a couple of years, really enjoyed it. The biggest downfall I had with that piece was that the material that the ultralight down inner pieces were made back in that time wasn't super downproof. I would have quite a bit of, not quite a bit, but I would have noticeable down leaking from the material, especially because at that time too, I like to sleep in my down piece at night. And I guess just the weight of me laying on it and moving around kind of helped the down kind of migrate out between the seams, or actually the material itself. Some time later, I actually lost some weight from my body, and I found that that piece I had was an extra large and it was a little too big for me in the torso area. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to get a different down jacket. I decided I wanted to go with the X Light. It didn't have a hood on it, but I had hood on several other pieces of my layering system, plus I wore a down beanie, so I wasn't really that upset about losing the hood. But what I did get was another down layer that actually fit me a little better, and it was actually lighter than the ultralight down inner parka. I wore that for just a little bit, and then they came out with the ultralight down inner parka, or ultralight down inner, the Montbell Ex Light Anorak. That's what I have here. I got this in late 2014, almost as soon as it came out, as soon as it was available, and I've used it ever since on my cold weather hikes. I've actually been a big fan of Montbell pieces. I think they're a good quality jacket, and I've just been a fan of them. They fit me good, and they just work for me. When I got this Montbell ultralight down inner jacket, or X Light Anorak, sorry, I keep getting confused on my words. But when I bought this, I was totally stoked about it. There were two things though about it that I was kind of like, I wish it was a little different. One of those things is that the hood did not have any way to cinch it down to kind of close it off. So the hood was just kind of left open. When I zipped it all the way up, it would kind of close it off a little bit, but there was still a little room to kind of, you know, flap around. And then the second thing that I wasn't really just stoked about was that the kangaroo pocket, the top portion of it is insulated, but the portion that's up underneath it is just a piece of material. It wasn't insulated. So if I was standing there with my hands in my pocket and any wind would blow, if it blew inside that pocket, it could actually, you know, a little bit of cold air could come up inside the jacket. So that's kind of my progression with the down pieces from Montbell. As it turns out, I was on a hike just recently, and before the hike we actually had a camp out with a bunch of guys. We got together and had a men's Bible study, and we camped out Black Balsam Knob in North Carolina. One of the guys that was there was Ben from GooseFeet Gear. Some of you may know I've bought several different pieces of GooseFeet Gear item over the years, and I've just absolutely loved all of them. As well, I've met Ben a couple of times. I've hiked with him, I've camped out with him. I've met him here in my hometown. He was visiting, coming through. We had dinner, and I've met him at a wedding, a buddy's wedding, and you know, I kind of feel like I've gotten to know Ben pretty well as a person. And besides the fact that I just was super stoked about his gear, I really like the fact that I know Ben and he's just a good guy. He's a good guy, and you can tell he's passionate about making gear that that ultralight backpackers especially would appreciate. He wants to make sure those people are happy. So on that camp out, I was talking with him. I was wearing my Montbell Ex Light Anorak, and I was talking with him, and I kind of was talking about, you know, I really like this jacket, but I wish, you know, this was different. He said, well, you know, I make jackets. He said, you know, I can make you a piece, and I can kind of correct those pieces for you. I can kind of correct those shortcomings. So I took him up on it. I said, sure. I said, you know, I've got a hike that I'm planning on doing Thanksgiving weekend, which is this weekend, and if you think you can, you know, get me something by then, I'd be happy to check it out. So we talked a little bit more after I got back from that hike, and he said, sure, I'll do it. So I got it in the mail today. Now, from this point on, I do want to say that this jacket, this Anorak, was sent to me free of charge. I did agree to discuss my thoughts with it with Ben, kind of give him some of my feedback on it, as well as share it on my blog, and that's what I'm doing here today. However, saying that, I do want to say that these thoughts are my own. You know, when I put my hands on it and feel it, the things that I'm going to tell you, the things that I've wrote in my blog, those are my own personal feelings and what I feel about it. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. Saying that, I do want to get into a little bit of comparison between these two Anoraks, and then kind of discuss a little bit more about this particular Anorak. So first off, I just want to give you some basic, you know, tech specs on the Montbell piece. Like I said, this is the Ex Light Anorak. I bought this in 2014 when it came out. I bought the size large. The size large on my scale without the stuff sack comes in at 6.6 ounces. It uses a 7D ballistic airlight shell for the material on the inside and the outside. The inside is stuffed with 2.2 ounces of 900 untreated downfill. And just so you know, that comes out to a total cubic inch volume of 1,980 cubic inches. As far as features, this is a pretty featureless piece, and that's kind of the point of it. I'm not knocking it because it's featureless, but it features a half zip. It's not a full zip, and honestly, I like that. I prefer, for my insulating piece, I would rather it not be a full zip piece. I would rather it be half zip, and I could just kind of slide it over. I feel like the half zip, first off, it's less weight because it's only half a zipper, but more importantly, I think it actually holds more warmth in because there's no zipper that's kind of cutting off the insulation at the middle. It's all just insulation across the front. So I think that it adds a little bit of extra warmth, plus, like I said, it decreases weight. What's really nice about these Anoraks, though, is that it has a kangaroo style pocket, but it's not your top zip. It's more of a tunnel from side to side. I like that. Of course, it does have a hood. It's got elastic around the waist, or the wrist cuff, and then there is a cinch around the waist hem, and that is accessed by 2 cords that's inside the kangaroo pocket. Other than that, that's pretty much it. And like I said, I've used this for a couple of years, been fine with it despite the shortcomings. So now then, oh, and also I paid $220 plus shipping from Pro Light Gear when that was available on the Pro Light Gear site. As far as this piece here, I did ask Ben. Like I said, he provided it to me free of charge. I did ask him what he would charge for this particular Anorak in this configuration with the, the materials that I decided to use and the amount of down, and he said it would have cost $310 is what it would normally cost. Now that is a little more expensive than that, but I feel like there's a lot more to offer in this jacket, so I feel like the price is well worth it. So as far as some specs on this jacket, first off, it is it weighs 7.7 ounces in my configuration. The sizing, it's custom made, so that's a bonus right there. That in itself makes it a much more, to me, it makes it much more worthwhile than the standard, small, medium, large, extra large shelf sizes that they have on those. I actually gave him the measurements from me. Now, if I was to have to say what size this would be, kind of comparing it to that, I would say the torso is going to be about a medium, whereas the length and of the actual Anorak and of the sleeves is going to be more like a large. So, it's kind of in between a medium and a large. Saying that, I chose to go with his 10D. He has a 10D material that he uses. He has a couple of options on his website for materials. He has a 20D. He has I think he has some Pertex Quantum GL, and then a 10D. And this is his 10D. He worked with the company that he gets his material from, and they sent him several samples, and he finally settled on this particular 10D. This is a nylon taffeta. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's not a ripstop, it's a taffeta. But it's a 10D material. It does have a DWR treatment, and he said that in his findings that he's used it for, he said it's actually rather downproof, quite downproof. He says it is downproof, and that is important to me. That's one thing that I'm going to be kind of keeping an eye on, is how downproof the material is. But I'll get into that in a minute. As far as the inside, it uses 950 versus the 900 in the Montbell, but it's 950, and it's also the Downtech treated down. So it's not just the regular down, it is the Downtech. Some people have mixed feelings on that. I'm actually kind of excited that I have it with the Downtech, just simply because here in the southeast, the humidity, even if it's not raining, the humidity can be quite high. And I do kind of feel like, just common sense maybe, but I could be wrong, I do feel like, humidity temperature, or humidity, just wetness in the air, can affect those higher fill downfills, and maybe the higher the downfill, maybe the more it affects it. So because of that, this is 950 downfill. I am excited that it does have the Downtech on it, because I'm curious to see how it's going to react. That is one thing I got to say about the Montbell piece. I haven't really noticed much loss of loft just hiking. Of course, I'm real careful not to get my down pieces wet, but I feel like the Montbell did a really good job at maintaining the loft that it does have. And speaking of loft, the Montbell uses 2.2 ounces of 900 downfill. Like I said, it's 1,980 cubic inches is the total volume fill. I opted to go with 4 ounces of the 950 downfill for this jacket. That comes out to a total of 3,800 cubic inches, so that's almost twice the amount of volume as far as down is concerned over the Montbell piece. And that in itself too is one thing that I think the price was a little higher on this particular Anorak. Because first off, it was 950 versus 900, plus it's 4 ounces rather than just 2.2 ounces. As well, like I said, the 10D material is a little more expensive than some of the 20D material that he offers, so that adds a little price to it as well. But anyway, 4 ounces. Now, like I said, this comes in at 7.7 ounces in the configuration that I have. Whenever you divide it out, or whenever you work out the ratio of insulation to weight, this jacket or Anorak actually comes up with about 52% of the total weight of this Anorak is just simply from the insulation. The Montbell piece, it's 33%. So there's a big, that's a pretty significant jump, in my opinion, as far as how much insulation is actually the total amount of the total weight of the jacket. So I feel like this jacket really wins out in that department. A couple other features, like I said, it does have a lot of the features that the Montbell has, which isn't many, but that's what I like. He did use, on the wrist cuffs, there is an elastic cord inside the wrist cuffs, so that's kind of you know, it does a good job at blocking off any kind of wind. He did include a hood on it, and the hood, that was one of my hang-ups with the Montbell piece. He did include a, if I can get them here, there is 2 cinches on each side, so I can actually pull the hood down and kind of close it off. So I have adjustability on my hood, which is something that I didn't have on the Montbell piece. And the other thing that I talked about was the tunnel kind of kangaroo style pocket. Of course, you can see I have a kangaroo pocket here on this one. However, the difference is the inside and the outside of this pocket is insulated. So now if I'm standing around camp and I got my hands in my pocket and some wind blows through, it's not really going to affect anything because the inside of this pocket is also insulated. I would like to point out too that he has made his pockets, at least it feels like it's just a little bit narrower in diameter or in the size of the opening. So whenever I stick my hands in there, I'm actually filling up that opening a lot better than I was on the Montbell piece. So even if there is wind blowing, it's probably less likely that a lot of wind's going to blow into there anyway. So I'm really excited about that. He does feature a cinch in the waist hem, although since this is tailor-made to my measurements, it actually sits rather well just without even having to cinch that closed. So I could cinch it up a little bit and it kind of would completely seal it off, but as it is, I mean, it's sealed up pretty well because like I said, I gave him my measurements. Now there's 2 things that I decided, besides the downfill, adding more down to this jacket than the Montbell, there's 2 other things that I decided to go for since this is a custom made jacket. First off is I had him add just a little extra length to the overall jacket. So this one comes down just a little farther than my Montbell did. And the big thing is when I raise my arms up, it's not really rising above my waistline of my pants. So it's kind of still blocking, you know, I don't have that little strip of belly showing, you know. So as you can see, it doesn't raise past that. Another thing, I had him add just a little bit extra length to my, my sleeves. So when I put my arms out, the sleeves, they're still actually, you can see how much sleeve I have. It actually comes to the middle of my hand. So that's really good whether I'm raising my hands above my head, out in front of me, or if I do decide to wear a pack, you know, and the shoulder straps kind of compress some of that and pull it, it's still not going to rise up and come up my arm. And that's a really big pet peeve I have with other jackets. So that's kind of some first looks, kind of first thoughts on this jacket. I've got to say I am super impressed with this. I do want to say too, the material, man, it is awesome. It really is. It is it doesn't really feel like plastic. Plus it's quiet. That's something that I did kind of notice with this Montbell piece. It really does have kind of a plasticky feel to it. And even, I don't know if you can hear any of that, but just when you handle it, it kind of sounds like kind of crunchiness too, like I'm crunching up plastic. Not that that was a problem, but it's just something worth noting, I feel. Whereas this is just, I mean, it's amazing. Next to skin, it is so soft. My wife likes it, my kids like it. I'm pretty sure my dog would like it if I'd let her get close to it. But I got to say, this is a really, really great piece. I do want to say thanks to Ben for giving me the opportunity to check this piece out. There is one thing, before I close this out, there is 2 things that I do want to note about this jacket. Now first off, I want to say I don't think there's anything out there that's absolutely perfect. I do feel like there are a lot of things out there that can be close to it. For me, I thought I was close to it with the Montbell Ex Light Anorak. I feel like I'm even closer to it with this GooseFeet Gear down Anorak. But there are 2 things that I would change on it. First off, and they're both with the hood. First off, the way that he's made this, he does have a channel that the cord goes through so that you can cinch it. However, the way that the cord comes out is it's kind of like he just left a little opening where the channel is sewn. So the cord just kind of feeds out of that channel there. What I found is with these are the mini, it's not the tiny, it's the mini cord locks. Last night, I don't know how or why, but that cord lock actually got pulled up into the channel. At first I thought the cord lock fell off and the cord just got pulled up. But upon closer inspection, I realized that no, it was actually the cord lock was inside there. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a little bit larger cord locks on these so that it can't go up into the channel. I did talk to him about that, and I asked him what he thought about maybe using a grommet, just a little tiny small grommet. I don't know what would go into the construction as far as adding that. I'm not asking him to add that to this. It's just kind of my feedback on maybe future jackets. But I thought about a grommet because a grommet has a small hole, and there's no way that that little down lock could be pulled up into it, or that little cord lock could be pulled up into it. The other thing is he uses, on this, he used, I think it's 1.1, the polyester cord. Some of you that are familiar with GooseFeet Gear know exactly what cord I'm talking about. It's a little tiny black thin cord. He uses that, and it's no problem. But I just find that for me, when I snug something around my face, I find that if it's elastic, it's just a little more comfortable than a cord, because the cord doesn't give, so it kind of presses whenever you move around, whereas the elastic will kind of move with you, so it's not as static. So what I'm going to do is, I believe I have some 1/16 inch shock cord, which is the same size shock cord he uses on the hem, but I believe I have some of that. I'm just going to tie it to one end of this, pull it all the way through, and then put the cord locks on the 1/16 inch, and that's going to take care of that. So like I said, I can't really do anything about the grommets, but I can add some slightly larger cord locks to it. But I can change the cord out, and because of that, I'm not really I'm still pretty dang happy with it, and I think it's still pretty close to perfect, about as close as I'm going to get, especially when I compare it to the Montbell Ex Light Anorak, which, like I said, I thought was pretty much there to begin with. So anyway, that kind of wraps up some of my thoughts about it. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to post them below, and I'll do my best to get back to you to reply to those comments, answer any questions you may have. And also, be sure to check out GooseFeetGear.com. Like I said, I've got several reviews on my blog for other items, such as his down socks, which I totally recommend because they're awesome. My toes get cold, those things keep them warm. I've also have his down pillowcase that I use. That's been my favorite pillow setup by far since owning. I've had it for a couple of years. And my down pants. I also have some custom down pants that I got from him a couple of years ago. And I tell you what, that stuff, whenever it's cold outside, when the temperatures drop, I cannot tell you how nice it is to have that downy goodness that I can just wrap up in, because it makes such a big difference. So anyway, if you check out his site right now, like I said, this is Thanksgiving Day, and he started his Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale. I think it's 10% off of all orders, or if you order something that's actually in stock on his website, I think it's 20% off of that. But if you'll go to the GooseFeetGear.com website, you'll see all the information as far as the sale is concerned. But anyway, again, I do want to say a big thanks to Ben, and thanks to everybody else for watching this. I'll see you later.